Let's just jump right into the news, shall we? We actually have a not a small amount of news this week, which is
all right.
Which is exceptional. Here we go.
Good evening, Mr. Mr. North and South American, all the ships and clippers at sea. Let's go to press.
First bit of game news. Last week's episode, we were waxing nostalgic about DMocker, and I was talking about how I've owned every edition of DMocker except the super hard to find blue cover first edition DMocker, only printed in Germany, only printed a few copies. There was a listener from East Germany, or eastern part of Germany, I guess, because East Germany is no longer a country.
No, that's not a thing anymore.
Who said I will track one down and ship it to you if you pay for it. Let me know. And I was like, oh, that is amazing. That is awesome. Let me just do my own due diligence, because it's been a while since I used to search for it. 3 or 4 times a year, I would go and check all the places that you look for to find rare games.
Sure.
And I found one. I found one under $100. I found one at like $75 or something like that. It
the
was
Holy Grail.
Crazy. Partially unpunched. Oh my goodness. I have it in my hot little hands. It is gorgeous. It is amazing. I posted a picture of it. I am in heaven. So thank you for wanting to help me out with this. But I now have it. I now have my this is one of my big Grail games now. I got the first edition of DMocker. Super
and I'm glad to say that since the last time we played, I've played it with you. You taught me that. That was, I think, maybe the second game night before.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it very much.
It's a crazy good game. It's a crazy.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that I could see right away. There was so much more to learn, like just instantly.
It is. It's an astonishingly well-made game, and even though your first couple plays, you realize, oh, I'm still kind of scratching the surface. It's all there. Like, you can see everything that you can do. You understand. It's pretty intuitive in terms of understanding how everything works together. It's just, how do I keep all of the different parts moving to get this political campaign going, right? It's amazing.
Yep.
Absolutely love it. Interesting news out of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. CMON.
Oh, yes.
CMON is in a little bit of trouble, it would seem. They are listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. CMON Games, of course, is a company that makes a lot of, I guess miniature games is what they specialize in, but some non-miniature games that we like quite a bit, they make as well. They have been under, their stock is suspended on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And evidently there were audit issues that are going to delay their annual report for 2019. Essentially, there's about $1.5 million distribution agreement that is one of the parts of the problem. There were prepayment balances. It's a whole bunch of things. The thing that drew a lot of people's eye was there was a thing in the listing of why trading was suspended, that there was an audit that includes a going concern. Now, I didn't know what a going concern meant. I didn't know what that was code for. But evidently, there were a bunch of people that were like, when they say going concern, what that means is there is a concern by auditors whether or not this company is going to remain solvent. Is this company even going to continue to exist? Well, it so happens that this morning, CMON gave a little April update, and they explained what the going concern is. I mean, they obviously heard a lot of people talking about it, and so they wanted to say, according to them, this is according to CMON, so take everything with a grain of salt, but it does. What they explain the situation is kind of makes sense to me. So hopefully it's not them just spinning it. It could be them just spinning it. But what they're saying is they received record funds from Kickstarter this year, and that there are 37 Kickstarter projects that they have fulfilled. The new Kickstarter projects come in. They have to list them in a weird way when they're accounting for them, because they're listed both as an asset because they got all this money in from Kickstarter, but they also have to list them as a liability because these are things that are unfulfilled and require capital outlay to finish up, right?
So they're just saying it's bookkeeping.
They're saying
Nothing to worry. We just need to.
The going concern has to do with the fact that this is an odd business model, and that it's not what it looks like. That it just has to do with the fact that they have all of these Kickstarter campaigns that read weird on a balance sheet, but it's
right.
totally.
Well, hopefully that's the truth.
Yeah. So, they have a game called Starcadia Quest that is fully shipped and out to backers. Blood Rage Digital is coming out. Munchkin Dungeon, Project Elite, Marvel United. They've got a lot of games. Zombicide. A lot of games that are gearing up and getting ready. Look, we've talked about how for the friendly local game stores, this is a hard time in the business. We should also say that this is a hard time in the business for everybody, that even the larger companies, even publicly traded companies, could be in a lot of trouble. Simon, it may not make a ton of the games that we talk about, but they've certainly made some of our favorite games. I believe Lorenzo. We don't want anybody going under. We want these people making more games. I mean, Sheriff of Nottingham.
Of course not.
Sheriff of Nottingham. We've played many times. That's that's one of their games. Ethnos. We really like that game. The Grizzled. They've done a lot of good games, and we hope that they are able to stay in business. Next up, little convention.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially now.
Go ahead, please. Sorry. Say it again. Especially now.
No, I was just saying, especially now when, families are at home and need good games to play.
Totally.
Let's keep those games coming.
Totally. Gaming convention news. Origins. We talked about Origins a few weeks ago. We talked about how there were a bunch of people that were saying, why haven't they canceled their convention yet? And they said, well, we can't cancel the convention until it becomes clear that it is going to be canceled by force majeure, right? It's not until the state says you can't have your convention that then they can cancel things, because if they do it before then, the hotel isn't going to give them refunds. No one's going to give them refunds on their expenses. Well, it turns out that they have not canceled their convention. They have instead moved it. The convention, which is normally for the middle of June, is now going to be held in the Greater Columbus Convention Center, same place as always, on October 7th to the 11th, 2020. So, people...
Well, here's fingers crossed that by then people are gathering.
That's the calculus. That's the calculus. It creates some issues. Here's some of the issues with this. Issue number one is people that bought their tickets. Does this mean you can't get refunded? Does this mean you suddenly have to try and make October work? What if October doesn't work for you? That could be a problem, right? Here's the other big problem. The biggest board game convention in the world is Essen. As you remember, Trey and
I do.
Matt and I went to Essen just a few years back. It's within 2 weeks of this date. It is just 2 weeks away from Origins. I do not know how many of these people that spend so much of their year getting ready for Essen are going to be able to turn around and also do Origins. I have a feeling. Now, Origins does role-playing. They do LARPs. They do all sorts of miniature. They do all sorts of gaming, not just board gaming. So that aspect might not be a major part of their experience. It's definitely not a small part of their experience, though. And their board gaming might take a hit because of how close it is to Essen. We'll have to see how it pans out. But there could be a lot of people that were planning on going to Origins for the board gaming that might now have to make a pretty difficult choice in terms of Essen.
Honestly, these last couple of weeks, I feel like I'm in one of your games that you designed where we're all locked indoors and it's a pandemic and, there's all kinds of rules that you have to figure out as you go. And it's for real. It's really, really funny.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. Listen, we don't even know if Essen is going to happen. We have no idea.
Yeah, for real.
Everything is so up in the air right now. But
the whole world is on pause right now.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right. My daughter has this summer camp that she goes to where she gets to ride horses and do all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And now for the first time, she's going to be able to go for 2 sessions instead of 1. And she was just crying yesterday because she's like, there's a chance I'm not going to be able to go, isn't there? And I was like, oh, sweetie, yeah, there's a chance you might not be able to go, but it's a long way off still, and a lot can happen. So
That's true.
Right?
All it takes is one genius to make some discovery and be like, boom, did it.
Right. What did I say? I said, worry is paying interest on a bill that may never come due.
There you go.
And she thought about that for a while, and she's like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. She was not as impressed with that bit of wisdom, but
sure,
it's all right.
Yeah, she's thinking about her ponies. I get it.
I totally get it. It's just the way it is. We have an interesting game coming out. David Turksey is a good designer. He designed Cerebria. He designed Anachrony. He designed a lot of very interesting games, and he's got an Incan Empire game coming out that, boy, oh boy, it sounds very interesting. I'm going to try to pronounce it right now. Here we go.
Okay.
Tawantinsuyu.
That sounds exactly right.
Tawantinsuyu, all one word. Tawantinsuyu, the Incan Empire. Don't know a ton about it.
Rolling down the ziggurat steps.
It is, yeah. It's going to sort of have a hill in the center of it. I'm not sure if it's an actual hill or a stepped looking hill, but it's going to be a worker placement game. There are going to be a few resources that you're going to be collecting: potatoes, corn, stone, and gold. You're going to be constructing buildings, stairs. You're going to be sculpting statues, collecting weavings, expanding your military strength. It's a worker placement game, and there are several different workers. There are warriors, there are craftsmen, there are architects, there are couriers, and there are priests. The warriors seem to remove adjacent workers, so it does seem like it will have a little take that. It'll have a little player versus player, which is let's put it this way. There are several games that in this space we can think of. We can think of Tzolk'in. We can think of Teotihuacan. So this is a game in the same genre as those games, but David Turksey, Anachrony is an amazing game. Cerebria is a brilliantly designed game. This is a serious designer, and if he thinks he's got something new to add to this area, to this theme, I'm really looking forward to it. We don't have a lot of information about it. He says it's going to come out in 2020. We have no information about that. Nobody, as we just said, nobody knows. But do you remember playing Teotihuacan or Tzolk'in?
Yeah, well, not Tzolk'in, but I do the other one. Yeah.
Okay. If you haven't played Tzolk'in, we got to play Tzolk'in at some point.
I feel like that was way back in the past before I was part of it, so I don't know if it's come out in a while.
That could be. Yeah, it has the interlocking gears that you put your guys on these gears, and then the whole gear turns, so everybody moves. It's very interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to try that.
Yeah, we're going to have to get into that sometime.
All right.
Next up, Moonshine Empire. Now, I'm going to be a little careful touting Moonshine Empire because Moonshine Empire is by 2 designers that basically haven't designed anything before, and it is a self-published game, but it looks
cool.
It looks kind of adorable, doesn't it?
These little boats and everything. The whole thing looks awesome.
It looks a little bit like Roads and Boats because you have these like little pickup trucks, and you got little boats, and you're sort of you're going out into the swamp, building a still and delivering your moonshine.
It's got a Duck Dynasty kind of vibe.
Yeah, doesn't it? So
It totally does.
I don't know if this game is going to be any good, but the idea of a moonshine game where it's sort of a pick up and deliver efficiency puzzle
Yeah.
sounds really interesting. So
I mean, even the artwork is like a chicken Daisy Dukes, you know what I mean? And like a guy with a pitchfork. So
yes.
interesting.
Now, looking at the components, I don't know if these components are prototype components or not. Some of them look great, some of them don't look great. So, who knows? We don't know much about it other than, if you find yourself at a convention and somebody's playing Moonshine Empire, sit down and try it. I wouldn't necessarily kick it. But it did kick very quickly. It kicked in one day, I believe. So, yeah, funded in one day. So
and they've never done anything, and they had that in one day. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it looks kind of cool, as you said, and it's got an interesting theme.
We are not endorsing making your own moonshine, by the way.
No. Jake, have your eyebrows grown back from when you tried?
Yeah, just one.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Yes, indeed.
Tales from the Loop. All right, so there is a television show out right now called Tales from the Loop. I watched the pilot. I thought it was quite good. It was sort of a non-sinister Twilight Zone, I would say, is a good description of it. It is based on the artwork by a guy named, I believe his name is Simon Stalenhag. Basically, he is a Scandinavian artist who drew these amazing pictures of normal suburban life in Sweden or one of those Norse countries in which there are these huge fantastical things like huge.
They look like robot towers almost.
Yes, and there are mechs sometimes that are there's a mech sitting on a station wagon, and it's just sort of kids going out with their sleds or walking through the forest and having all these fantastical things happening around them. And those pictures were so evocative that it turned into a lot of different things. There is a role-playing game called Tales from the Loop. That was, I think, one of the first iterations of it. There is now a television series, Tales from the Loop, and there is coming a board game called Tales from the Loop. The board game, Martin Takaichi is the designer, and one of the artists is Simon Stalenhag, and it looks like it's going to have some pretty interesting looking minis, right?
Yeah, the minis look pretty dope, I gotta say. They have a little, like some of them look kind of mech feel, but also this one looks kind of like a little dinosaur or some kind of weird raptor thing.
It does look like that, doesn't it? Yeah.
I'm in. I don't even know what it is, but I like that mixed genre of just like normal world, but guess what? Not normal.
Yeah, it's odd when I look at the prototype, They don't show they show some of the art and they don't show some of the art. The characters appear to be just cardboard characters on standees, and then there are miniatures. And to me, that look isn't so great. That kind of clashes because one is highly abstract and one is almost photorealistic. And
I agree with you. It looks half finished almost. It's like, why couldn't they have picked one?
Yeah. I'm not crazy about that. But listen, its pledge goal was 50,000, and it's up to 150,000 right now, so it's doing pretty great. 26 days to go on Kickstarter. Hey, take a look at it on Kickstarter. If you're really into this and into this world, maybe this is something.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have one more bit of Kickstarter news. Phil Eklund has decided that he is going all in on a Kickstarter. He's got a Kickstarter that is selling PAX Viking, PAX Renaissance, and High Frontier for All Module 3 Conflict. All right, so here's the thing. So $25,000 goal, $156,000, super kicked, 16 days to go. Here's the thing. So we've talked about the PAX games before. The first PAX game was PAX Porfiriana, which was a Phil Eklund design. I love the PAX games. Maddie loves the PAX games. PAX Pamir, I think, is our current favorite. I personally still go back to the original PAX Porfiriana as my favorite. PAX Renaissance is an amazing game. We reviewed it. We tell you it is crazy good. This second edition PAX Renaissance is going to be in a bigger box, better components, and a streamlined rule system. It's a little bit of a bear to learn, so hopefully this will help. PAX Viking is a brand new game that is supposed to be a lighter entry-level PAX game, which...
Oh, that's cool.
When you talk about Phil Eklund, I don't know what entry-level means. But potentially, that sounds intriguing to me. But then he bundles it with High Frontier for All Module 3 Conflict, which is only useful to you if you already have High Frontier for All. Now, I have two different editions of High Frontier. It's one of my favorite games. Nobody but my son will play it with me. It is, Phil Eklund was a JPL rocket scientist, essentially, for 30 years, and then put all of that 30 years of information and love into his game about exploring our solar system in as realistic a system as possible. And it is a dense, complicated game that I absolutely love. But I don't have High Frontier for All. I didn't yet again buy the game all over again, and I don't think this module is going to work with what I have. The other thing is, I have to say, I do have a little bit of a problem sometimes wrapping my head around giving Phil Eklund more money, buying things from Phil Eklund. We've talked about this before. He is a guy that has some very interesting ideas about things. He is, I would put him, he's kind of hardcore Ayn Rand devotee. He is... a climate denier and all kinds of things. And in these games, a lot of these games that are about historical periods, he writes these treatises at the end of them, which sort of go into him just spouting his theory. And Maddie and I have a really fun time just reading them and shooting each other our favorite quotes from them because they're patently ridiculous on the face of it.
Right.
But
he's got a pretty wicked handlebar mustache. I got to give him that.
Yeah, it feels right for.
Looks like you could just do chin-ups on that thing.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme. That said, here's the thing. So you can buy these things individually. You can buy them all together. You can get what you want. I think it is $74. Nope, $74 doesn't get it all. Okay. It is... Oh, what is it? I'm trying to look. I'm looking at all the different levels.
The first number here says 64, but I think that's just for
Viking.
Yeah, just
60,
for Viking.
And 64 just for Renaissance. $14 just for the module for High Frontier. So it's not like it's all bundled up and you have to get it all together. You can get them as separate parts. Listen, if you don't have, if you like the PAX games and you do not have PAX Renaissance, I recommend getting PAX Renaissance. It is a great game. I would probably play PAX Pamir and PAX Porfiriana before I play PAX Renaissance, but it's like different flavors of ice cream. It's not like it's not like one is so superior to the others. I think PAX Renaissance is still a very good game, and I'm intrigued to play PAX Viking. I really want to try it. I would love to introduce PAX Viking to you. You've played some of the PAX games, and you know
I have, yeah.
Yeah, you felt
I think
they were a little thick, right?
For me personally, they're great examples of actually something I was saying before is like I instantly saw how deep and how broad they could go, and one play was never going to do it, and I never really get more than one play, or anyway, very rarely.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like put it in that category of my mind of like, okay, this is a really smart game that I'm not going to probably think about ever again. But yes, I could see right away that it's pretty impressive.
Well, maybe Viking is for you then.
Maybe. I'm always down to try something new, even if it is something that I know will be something I don't get to fully explore.
Okay. And I'm going to take it that you're a no on High Frontier?
You know,
I'm always looking. I'm always looking for somebody.
I like pretty much everything. I like to just dip my toe in all of these different waters and see which speaks to me. But yeah, I'm a Viking fan. I think I'd like to try that.
All right. Good to know. Let's move from Vikings to pirates. Forgotten
Yay.
Waters. Forgotten Waters is a game that is still available for pre-order as of today and should be for a little while. It is put out by Plaid Hat Games. Plaid Hat Games is a company that we believe in supporting, mostly because they left Asmodee. They were part of the what is quickly becoming the evil empire of Asmodee and have set out on their own. And we want to support the Rebel Alliance whenever we can.
Sure.
That said, I also say that support this game because it sounds like it might be a good pirate game. And I've been on record many times saying I would love there to be a good pirate game that I could really get behind. Maracaibo was not it. I'm still waiting for the great pirate game. Forgotten Waters is a Crossroads game. A Crossroads game is a reference to, I believe the first Crossroads game was Dead of Winter. I might be wrong that it's the first, but Dead of Winter is definitely a Crossroads game. Jake, did you ever play Dead of Winter with us?
Remind me.
It's
Which
sort of
one is that?
it's sort of a zombie game where we're all kind of working together, barricading up shelters in this cold environment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did play that one.
You flip over story cards and
Yes,
and different
absolutely.
things happen.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Matter of fact, I think we'll be talking about that today because we're talking about we're talking about cooperative gaming, and that is a semi-cooperative game, much like Battlestar Galactica, in which one person could be a traitor and working against you. Everyone else is kind of working together, but they do have their own individual goals. Forgotten Waters is a Crossroads game, which means it is going to be telling a story. There are going to be 30 lush locations to look at. There are different captains that you can be playing, and the design team has a lot of people that were working on Dead of Winter and Ashes, Rise of the Phoenix Born. If you know that, I remember standing in a line for about an hour trying to buy it for Maddie because he was in a different line at Gen Con, waiting to get his. I think it was Game of Thrones cards at the time. So, these guys are good. Isaac Vega in particular is a good designer, and their inspiration is Pirates of the Caribbean, their Treasure Island, and I like it. It sounds interesting. I would seriously consider it. And
I like the artwork. It looks pretty cool. Like the island on the back of this giant sea turtle serpent thing. That looks neat.
Right? Isn't that kind of cool?
Totally. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, the board looks, it looks like there are hexes, so the board is going to change each and every time. Where the whatchamacallit, where the islands are going to be and which island is going to be where. It looks like everyone has a player board where you're going to be keeping track of the stats of your particular ship or the crew members that you pick up and things like that.
Yeah, it looks cool. And I know it's not as important to some as others, but the artwork always is a big draw for me.
Oh yeah. No. We you and I discussed this the last time we talked, where you're big into laser sharking and I am not. I'm anti-laser sharking. If in this game, if the pirates had laser swords, you would be all in.
Yep. That's right. I have no problem with that.
The game is about $60 and it is orderable right now. And guess what? Free shipping in the contiguous U.S. And last but not least in the news, we don't tell you guys to subscribe to our Patreon because we don't have a Patreon yet. Anyway, who knows? Maybe you never know what's going to happen. Never know what's going to happen in the future. We don't have anything like that right now. We have only said twice on this podcast to rate and review us. We try to keep this down. We try to be a very casual podcast, but right now consider this the horn that we are blowing to the four corners of the geek globe, asking you for your help. We are at the Golden Geek Awards. BoardGameGeek.com has once a year the Golden Geek Awards. This is the Academy Awards for the hobby, people, and they have many different categories for Golden Geek Awards. One of them is podcast. Best podcast. You guys, every single listener, could go, if you chose to, could go to Board Game Geek. If you have a Board Game Geek account, you sign in, And then you go to the Golden Geek Awards, boardgamegeek.com/Geek Awards /board game. And then you would select podcast, scroll down until you get to Game Brain, and select Game Brain for best podcast. This is nominations. This isn't even choosing who's going to win or whatever, but you can choose us to be in the best podcast category. Even being nominated in the best podcast category would, it's something tons of people notice. It's something tons of people see and really would create a new group of people that would come and check out our podcast. We've been hopefully you've been telling people to listen to us. We've been telling people to listen to us. This is going to reach a much bigger audience than anything else, any single thing anybody could do. So
yes, and if I could just chime in on this as well, as the casual gamer, yes. I have something that I will admit. I won't say I'm ashamed of it, but I will admit that I had never been on BoardGameGeek.com before because I'm the casual gamer and I don't do research or look at it afterwards. But when I found out this was happening, of course, I signed up. I made an account. It was very easy, even for someone such as myself who the internet does not like, and it couldn't be simpler. We would really appreciate it. I think everything Tom said is spot on.
Jake, did you not know what your Skype name was for this call today?
It's true. When Tom and I were talking before setting this up, he was like, "All right, cool. All I need is your Skype name." So I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll just go find out what that is," because I had no idea. But surprise, surprise. You know what my name was? Jake Spiro. Just my name. Very easy.
Go.
You're
going to be getting some calls now, Jake. That was a big mistake.
No, that's all right. I'm always here.
How long did it take you to sign up for a new Board Game Geek account?
2 to 5 seconds.
2 to 5 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. 2 to 5 seconds. Do you like the podcast?
It was the click of a button. It was literally the click of a button.
If you would be so kind, if every listener would just pause the podcast right now, go to boardgamegeek.com and sign up for an account if you need to. By the way, they don't ever send you anything. No emails, no nothing. Nothing ever comes to you.
I haven't received anything yet. Nothing.
Radio silence. And just vote for Game Brain for best podcast. It would be tremendously appreciated. Thank you. That's it. I'm not going to say any more. I feel like I've flogged this horse enough. Let's
tooting our own horn a bit, but that's okay. I think we deserve it.
We saved it up all year waiting for a moment like this where we could really hit people with it. So hopefully...
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys tolerated that. We appreciate it very much. Let's talk games on the brain.
Games on the brain. These are games we like to play. These are games stuck on our brains, oh baby.
Jake, what's on your brain right now? right? It kills me every time.
I will tell you. Yeah, I will tell you what's on my mind right now about Game Brain. So in my world these days, as we were saying before, it's just all output energy for, from dad to son. And at the end of my day, after my wife goes to sleep, if I can still keep my eyes open, I like to sit down in front of the Xbox. And I have been playing 2 games on there. Both are very completely, without choosing it this way, post-apocalyptic. Really? And they seem very apropos. Yes, one is called Remnant, which is a 3-player game, which was introduced to me by one of my buddies who lives far away. And it's a chance for to speak and play at the same time. And you're basically just going through this post-apocalyptic world shooting aliens or something. Doesn't even really matter. But the graphics are insane, and it's almost peaceful in a way because it's a very empty world. There's not things happening all around you. It's a very open world environment, and for some reason it's just calm and mellow and a chance to, for me more than anything, just talk to my buddies.
Nice.
And the other game that I've been playing is an oldie but a goodie, Fallout 4, which I had never really gotten into. I got it when it came out, and then life ran away, and there was no time for something like that. And I log into that, and I'll play it for, half hour, 45 minutes, and I'm not even really playing the game. It's kind of just like an escape from one reality into another. Which I find refreshing these days.
Stay away from those Minutemen. They're bad news.
Yes. Yeah, the Minutemen. No, it's so funny that those are the 2 games I into, considering the world we're in isn't so far away from them. But I don't mind. I think it refreshes and reboots for a new day.
Oh, that's great. I think that's really awesome. For me, what's on my brain right now, I am thinking about. I'm actually thinking a bunch about Clans of Caledonia. I don't know if it's because we just played Glen More, which is a very thick Scottish theme, and because Elder, the professor's got this thing where he mentions something, and I suddenly can't get it out of my head, and I'm just thinking about it all the time. Like, for some reason, his brain thinks about games that I haven't thought about in a long time, and the moment he brings them up, it's all I can think about. So Clans of Caledonia is a game that we played at Essen the year we went to Essen. And it was a game that basically Terra Mystica came out. And everybody was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then the next year and a half after, whatever, 2 games came out right afterwards, which were Gaia Project and Clans of Caledonia. And both are basically cribbing from the idea of Terra Mystica, the idea that each person is going to play a person that has a different power or a different starting condition, and so they play the game a little differently than everybody else. You are building things off of your board, and as you pull things off of your board, various different types of things off of your board, you're unlocking an economy in your game, which is really, really great. At the end of the day, Gaia Project ended up becoming one of my top 10 games of all time. Not Glenmore, Clans of Caledonia is the one that just kind of fell away. But it's better. It's better than, I mean, it's not better than Gaia Project, but it's better than Terra Mystica. It's an amazing game. And Elder just put it in my head that, maybe I want to review that, or maybe I want to do that. And I'm like, oh, Elder's so good at that. He's so good at, he was like, maybe we should review Ora and Labora. I'm like, I'd love to review Ora and Labora. I haven't played it in 10 years. Play it, and I'm like, all I want to do is play Ora and Labora now. And I think that
That's awesome.
Clans of Caledonia is going to be the same thing. I'm going to be getting right back into that. So we'll see. There's a good chance that the next review you hear from me will be Clans of Caledonia, but I don't know. We'll see. It is.
Well, I'll be listening.
Looking back at it, it is a really, really sharp, smart design with a lot of great decisions went in there.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.